Welcome, amazing souls. Today, I want to explore with you this idea of manifestation. And specifically with that, who is doing the manifesting? My name is Anka. I do energy work. I'm a mystic. I'm a intuitive. I work with cosmic energy a lot. And this almost sometimes arises as a conflict around this idea of manifestation. And the questions are, do I surrender and allow source, life force to move through me and manifest life through me? I am an observer. Or do I make specific things happen through my will as the creator? And the simple answer is, well, of course, yes. From the unity, right? Because when that person who surrenders unites with the person that creates through their will, and that unity is so complete that there's no more distinguishment, right? That question cannot make sense. It's almost like, but how can even that question arise? And one has to go from unity back into separation for that question to make sense, because otherwise it's like it's so not applicable. So okay, if that's, let's just say, the arrival, I want to explore this question with you from the perspective just below. Not to mention that I think that we're also really getting close to that complete union, right? We have taste. I think we kind of go back and forth. We allow source to flow through us, and we're not controlling it. We're really riding that wave, and then whatever, something happens, a trigger or some flare of fear shows up, and then we move into this other mode. It's like, okay, let me take control now. And then it's like, oh, wait a second, I went a little bit too far. I need to surrender again, right? So we know we've been on this spiritual journey far enough. We've had our ego deaths and things like that, where we understand these things, and yet still this thing with manifestation, what is it about? And so in my understanding now, and certainly don't hold me to it, because in a month or so, who knows, my other understanding might show up, and that's okay. I love that. Nothing is really fixed. And I think part of making these videos is for me to see, wow, look how I used to think. But we have the tendency, again, me looking at my old self, to look at a manifestation as sort of as an accomplishment that's a thing, right? It's a house, it's a car, it's the job promotion, the partner, the child, things like that, right? That are very material. They're very definable. And the one thing we're also doing when we're looking at something like that, we're taking how something like that comes about out of the context, because everything exists just in relationship with each other. And especially when we hear stories of manifestation, it is very much centered, right? The spotlight is just on this accomplishment. And it's kind of diluting the relationships, which on a grander scale are even more important, that relativity to everything else, than just the accomplishment, because that relatedness between things is very much specific to our understanding, to our vibration, to our personality, to our environment, all that stuff. And so when we're trying to emulate somebody else, or we're craving, or we want this something else, we're kind of missing the larger point. So that became kind of clear for me today. It's like I can't even look at manifestation as the thing anymore. I have to redefine what manifestation is, because it's not that accomplishment. It's almost the illusion of it, right? It's true for that person, and that person should celebrate it for sure. They would anchor it, and they should also share that celebration, because that's real. But I cannot, because of the interrelatedness that happened within that experience, it's not necessarily true for me, and it's not even something I need to concern myself with that. More so, what I've been realizing is that I can't really manifest. I couldn't manifest for a long time. At the beginning, I can tell you that, yes, I manifested our first two homes. I was in my mid 20s. I was 26, I think, or something like that. 26, 27, I don't know. When we bought our first house, and I made a list, and I had like a whole map of desire. I forget what process I was kind of doing, but years later, right, I found my notebook, and I'm like, holy cow, I manifested this house. And that was our perfect house, right? And once we outgrew that house, I definitely manifested our second house. But what happened in our second house, I had my first brain opening, and it wasn't even that complete. It was like a slight crack. After that, I could tell you that I manifested nothing. I wasn't able to and I feel like I tried even harder. I applied my old techniques, nothing worked. Then we decided to move across states. The guidance that I had, which was very clear, because I was doing cards, and my husband came just at the right time, and just the intuitive guidance was like, this next house, that's not your manifestation. That is your husband's manifestation. So you need to allow him to lead it. This is his project. You just support him, and you follow his lead on this one. And it was really hard, right? Because it was just like, you have to follow this innate knowing, not know for something that's that big, right? Like, we're talking life savings, we're talking big stuff, and the home is so personal to both of us, and I just really have to follow his lead. And I finally did, even though it was, at the beginning, it just felt like, as soon as he was excited, he was like, yes, like, is this great for you? And I would be like, yes, right? Because I trusted that, and it ended up being more than better, even though at that time my projections, emotional and mental, were not fitting in with just ideas at that time. But now I recognize, oh my God, all these different shifts, and how our lifestyle has changed, all the homes, and just overall fit in perfectly with what he was led to. But again, I'm sitting here, it's like, what is going on? Why can't I manifest? And to me, what is happening, especially as we're getting closer to that union, right, between my little me and the big me, we're starting to think about what is best for the highest good, what is best for all involved. Our manifestation, our wishes are much grander. That's one thing. But there is a emergence that happens with some type of collective, where your life, yes, it's still your life, but the purpose of your life is so interconnected to this much bigger collective purpose of this new fabric of reality that is being unfolding. And the soul is so no longer concerned about focusing on these energies that are individuals. It's almost like it's not worth it. Not that it can't, or not, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm not even concerning myself with that. Like, these are the big things that we need to focus. And it's kind of counterintuitive, sort of, or the reality of it might be very tricky, right? Because the more we heal, the more we clear, the more we become more whole, the less power, in a way, let's say, the less control we have over our immediate environment. And for some of us, it might be even worse, right? Like the more whole we are, maybe even the more chaos is now coming up in our personal and the closest environment. And so these questions are showing up. It's like, but I'm really healing, but I'm expanding so much. But the clarity that I have is the highest. Like, why are these decisions? I'm coming to these why points or these T points where it's a yes or no, right? It's not even maybe 70-30 or a maybe, or I have to now, or I drag my feet enough where it's like I now have to make the hard decisions. But actually the clearing, the understanding is so high. Not that those things were not there, but now you are in a misalignment within a closer environment, and vibrationally speaking, those things really don't mesh. And so they have to come up for being resolved. But same with the manifestations. The manifestations that are happening at this point, they are happening on such a grander scale that the universe doesn't bother to just put you in the next higher position, because it's like, oh no, you're switching roles altogether. You're not concerned any longer to get this new job. You actually are going to make your own company soon, or something like that, where it's like you're not even seeing your future yet because it is way too different, and you're working through the acceptance of switching and jumping realities at such a massive level. And another thing with this manifestation, because I really dove into it, and for me, I'm all about symbolism, right? So the symbol archetype is the magician, right? The tarot, and the magician in the tarot, its thing, its characteristics, its ability, whatever you want to call it, is he's taking resources, right? The elements, combining with his skill, his emotional objectivity, his focus. He's alchemizing using available resources to bring about creation. Well, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, what's the same thing as cooking? And I almost didn't want to share this with you because it's like, oh my God, I'm oversimplifying this. But the more I thought about it, it's like, oh my God, no, it is really that simple, because to cook something fast is no problem. You can take this box and this package and this thing and throw it in a pot, and within 7 minutes you give it a boil and you have a meal, right? And oh, not only that, but you might be on a conference call while you're putting this stuff together, and you're yelling at your vendors in Taiwan because you have to put pressure on them, right? And you have to be mean because otherwise your project doesn't get attention. So by the time you're done with the meal, you're done with the yelling, you know, down your meal, and there you go. Your eating is done. But that's totally different than resourcing more wholeful ingredients, right? You might have to go through 3 different stores and to do the same meal. Let's say if you're going to do it from scratch, it might take you an hour and a half rather than 7 minutes. And if you're serious about it, then you would even ask your body, but what is it that you need today? And you're cooking mindfully, because whatever emotions you have while you're cooking, that's what you're ingesting. So when you're sitting down and you are eating that meal, that is a completely different thing, right? It's kind of the equivalent from, eating calories the fastest way possible, right? And you're monitoring just calories versus mindfully nourishing the body, which is four bodies, right? Because even the emotion that you're cooking with, the emotions that all the ingredients partaked, right? Because you might want to have a blessing even before you cook, things like that, right? So these foods, the fast one and the slow one, might look the same. For somebody that's not experienced, they might say, oh, they even taste the same. Only once you reached a certain sensitivity level, you notice the difference. No, this one tastes a lot better. Once you reach a certain vibrational level, it's like, oh, I'm not going to eat that food. That food has such a low vibration. I'm not going to put that into my body. I'd rather not eat than put that into my body, right? So it's kind of the same thing. We're coming to these manifestation and leveling up that takes way more time. We are building the ingredients for these wholesome meals that not only feeds my body, it feeds my family and that family. And there are communities now that are working on this stuff, and we are relying on one crop and this other crop and this skill level here, and brick by brick, right? I'm combining all these metaphors. We're building these initial layers of foundation, which are now coming into the realization that, oh my God, this is actually happening. But the manifestation is still happening on a much higher level, right? Here's your achievement. You have to look for the achievement with different eyes, with a different level of perception. And then it's there. And it's almost like, oh my God, did I do that? And it's not that I did it, but this person got in vibration with me because we were working on this project, and could have been that my vibration affected him. Can this be real, or her, whatever. And the results of our manifestation, just because we're getting close to that unity, is affecting this fabric of reality in a totally different way. These pentacles, right? These achievements are weird. And so when it comes to the manifestation, now it starts to make sense again, right? Because again, in my head, it's like, but I've never been so powerful like now. I mean, I feel the stability, I feel the presence that I bring in the world. Why can't I manifest? No, we're truly manifesting on a way different level. We're manifesting at a higher plane rate. Our group consciousness, and even the soul, the higher mind is done allocating resources to these small projects. I think it's going as fast as possible to a much higher collective good. And it's starting to skip these transitions. It's no longer concerned to make us feel comfortable. It's not taking us through 1, 2, 3. It's just going 1, 4, 7. Oh, you're scared shitless and you're just holding on to your pain. Oh, but yeah, I don't care. Can you? If you can, okay, we're going. That is basically what has been happening. probably since the solar eclipse. For me personally, it was solar eclipse in April 8th. It's just one shift after the other, several octaves away. And now that I'm seeing manifestations that are happening that are not at a tangible level, and somehow I know that that is now my target, right? Not a thing that will come later. It's almost like that is not no longer our concern. That the focus is not even about that anymore, because if the focus is on the plane higher than the material, then the material is guaranteed. But that unfolding, we are so unattached about that unfolding that it's just kind of like, oh, that was cool how that unfolded. Oh my God, did you guys see that? That was so awesome. But it's not where the focus lies. The focus is just in the higher perception, the higher understanding, the integration. It's the mental, emotional, higher capacity level. And so it's different. Welcome. It's different. It's kind of unbelievable for sure. It is just mind blowing. And I I hope this was interesting for you, and I hope you see that within your life. Or if you don't quite see it yet, give it a week. It's like, oh, here it is. Yes, this is this is my manifestation. And I mean, the ride is getting very wild. When they say it's behind or beyond your wildest dreams, we're getting there. We're like, my mind is blown every 3 days. So my little brain is you know is having a hard time. So anyway, I wish you an amazing week, and thank you so much for watching. You're welcome to leave me a comment and to share your story, share your idea, your new definitions of manifestation, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.